In this post, we are going to learn about what really happens if we put some data into a table which is actually not present in the database using Hibernate. Also, we check what happens if we put some data into a column of a table but the column is actually not present in that table. Okay, so we check both the cases here. So for that, first we have to create a database in MySQL. So here I am going to create a new database in MySQL. So create a new schema and I name this schema as Hibernate DB. Click OK. Okay, now here we got a database called Hibernate DB. But this database not contain any table. The database is absolutely empty. We are not insert any table into this database Hibernate DB. Okay. Now we are going to create a project, a Java project. So open your IDE and start a new project. So here I am going to start a new Java project. It's a Java project. Click next. And I name the project as Hibernate Demo. Okay, and click finish. We got a project here. So first we have to add the Hibernate libraries into this project. So for that, right click the project and choose the project properties. Now from this window, go to the Java build path. So we already put all the Hibernate libraries into a user library in Eclipse. So we have to add the user library into this project. So click the add library button. So we have to add a user library. So select the user library option and click next. Now here is the user library. This folder contains all the jar files needed to working with Hibernate. So I select that library and click finish. Okay, now click OK. Now you can see that now the Hibernate libraries are added into this project. Okay. So the first thing, we have to create a package in the src folder. So I create a new package. I name it as Hibernate Pike. Okay, and click finish. Create a package in the src folder. Okay, so first we have to create the Hibernate configuration file. So for that, right click the src folder and create and choose the other option and choose the XML file. Click next and name the file as hibernate.cfg.xml file. Okay, and click finish. Now here we got the Hibernate configuration file. Okay, now we have to add contents to this XML file. So here I already create structure for this Hibernate configuration file. So I copy all these contents and paste it in this XML file. Okay. Now in this configuration file, first here you have to set some properties. Here is the driver class name. Our connection here we using the MySQL database. So here our driver class name is com.mysql.jdbc driver, and here we have to provide the database name. So we have to check our database name. Our database name is Hibernate DB. So we have to change it here. Hibernate DB. That is our database name, and here is our MySQL username and password. Okay, there is nothing to change here. Okay, now we have to create a Pojo class. Now we are going to insert some data into a table, but the table is actually not present in the database. So if you're using JDBC, of course you got some serious error and exceptions. But here instead of JDBC we are using Hibernate. So we have to check what happens if we insert data into a non-existing table into the database. Okay, so here I'm going to create a Pojo class. So right click the package and create a new Java class. I name the class as user Pojo and click finish. Okay, so now here I'm going to add some variables. So I'm going to add a user ID, username and address or email. Okay, so create some private field, private int user ID, user ID. Next one is private string username. Also another one, private string user email. Okay, now we have to set the getter and setter methods for these variables. So select these variables and right click and choose the source option. Yeah, here it is, and select the getter and setter method. Generate getters and setters. Okay, now select all these variables and click OK. Now here we got all the getters and setters method for the username, email and user ID. Okay, now we successfully create the Pojo class. Okay, now we have to create the mapping file for Hibernate. So right click the src folder and click the new option and select other. Now again create an XML file. The mapping file is also an XML file. So select the XML file and click next and name the file. Here I'm going to name the file as user.hbm is a mapping file .xml and click finish. Here also you have to add some contents to this XML file. So I already saved the structure of this XML file. Okay, I copy the contents and paste it in this XML file. Okay, now here you have to provide the table name, but here the table name is actually not present. That means the table is actually not available on the database. So we have to provide a table name here. I name the table as user info. This is the table name, but the table is not present in the database. I just named the table as user info. And here you have to provide the Pojo class name. So our Pojo class name is user Pojo. So here I'm going to change the Pojo class name. Our package name is Hibernate Pike. So Hibernate Pike dot user Pojo. That is our Pojo class name. And here the table name is user info. And here is the primary column of the table. So I make the primary column as user ID and the column name in the table is ID. This is the primary key field in that table, but the table is not existing. We have to check it. The primary, yeah, the first field is user ID. Okay, we have to make this one as the primary key. So the ID name is user ID, that is our Pojo class field. And here is the column name ID. Okay, now we have to specify all the other column names and the Pojo class field as properties. First one is the first property in the Pojo class username, and the corresponding field in the table is name. And we have to add another property. What is the next variable? We have to check it on the Pojo class, username and user email. Okay, username is already added, so now user email, and I place the column name as email. Okay, that's enough. So we just put the Pojo class name here and the table name here, and this is the primary key field in the table, and also we add the two column names as properties in the Hibernate mapping XML file. Okay, now we have to, for inserting data into this table, we need another Java class. So here I'm going to create another Java class on the package. I name the class as main class. Main class, we need a public static void main in this class, so select this one and click finish. Okay, we got the class. So for inserting data into the table using Hibernate, first you have to create, we need an object of configuration. So create an object of configuration first. So configuration, I name the object as con equal to new configuration. Okay, so now we have to configure the Hibernate configuration file. For that, call the method configure and pass the configuration file name. Here our configuration file name is hibernate.cfg.xml. So hibernate.cfg.xml, that is our configuration file name. Now we have to create an object of session factory. So session factory sf equal to con dot build session factory. Yeah, this method is now deprecated, but now here I use that one. We have to find an alternative for this method. Okay, so we now create an object of session factory. Now we have to create an object of session. So session, I name the object as session equal to session factory dot open session. Okay, now we need an object of transaction. So transaction tr equal to, use the session object dot begin transaction. Okay, now we have to put some data into the table, but here in our database, this is the database name Hibernate DB, there is no table present. Here we are going to insert some data into a non-existing table. So for inserting data into the table, we have to create an object of our Pojo class. Our Pojo class name is user Pojo. So user Pojo equal to new user Pojo. Okay, so now we have to call the setter method to initialize the values. So Pojo dot, first we have to set the user ID. I put the value as 121. Now we have to set the name dot set user name. Now we have to set the user email, prabish123 at gmail. Okay, so now we have to save this Pojo object using session. So session dot call the method save and pass that object. Our object name is Pojo. Okay, and finally we have to commit the transaction. So tr dot commit. So after insertion we have to show some message. So system.out.println insertion is success. Okay, so now we complete all the coding. Now we have to check the application. So now here actually there is no table is present in our database. So now here we are going to insert data into a table which is actually not present in the database. What happens? So I run the project. So run the main class, run as Java application. So open the console. It shows the insertion is success. So we have to check it out. So here I'm going to refresh. Now here is the magic. You can see that now under the database Hibernate DB, a table is automatically created. So that is another advantage of Hibernate. If you're using JDBC, this is not possible, but if you're using Hibernate, you can easily add, there is no need to create the table. You can create the table from your application itself. So we have to check it, the contents of the table. Here we got all the data in the table. Okay, so that is the first point. You can create a table using Hibernate. There is no need to create a table. You can create the table from Hibernate itself. Okay, now we have to check what happens if we put some data into a column which is not present in the table. So for that we have to create another field in the Pojo class. So here in Pojo class, here I'm going to add another field, private string address. I add another variable into the Pojo class. Now we have to create the getter and setter method for this. So select the source and generate getters and setters, and select the variable and click OK. Okay, now we got the getter and setter methods for the variable address. Okay, now we have to set the properties on the mapping file. So add another property on the mapping XML file. Okay, so I name our Pojo class field is address. Okay, yeah, our Pojo class field is address. I also use the same variable as column names. Okay, now we have to add another field here for inserting address. So pojo.set address, pass an address. Okay, now we have to, what happens, save the project. Okay, we set some value for address. We have to change the primary key field because it is not possible to add duplicate value for the primary key. So I changed the name also. Okay, so if we try to insert this data, the last one, the address is not present in our table. Here our table contains 3 fields, ID, name and email, but the address is not available in this table. So what happens if we try to insert a column which is not present in the table? So here I am going to run the project, run as Java application. Yeah, it shows the insertion is success. We have to check it on the database. So I refresh the database. Now here you can see that a new field is added into the table called address. So you can add a column into the table using Hibernate. So you can create a table using Hibernate. Also you can alter a table using Hibernate. So we can check the data on the table. Yeah, here you can see that a new column is added into this table, but for the first row it is set as null, but for the second row it add the data. Okay, this is some advantage of Hibernate instead of using JDBC. So I hope you enjoy this video. Please try it yourself and subscribe my channel for getting more video updates. Thank you for watching. See you in the next part.